What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, what we're going to be doing is my updated guide on beginner high ground retakes in Fortnite. In this video, I'll be covering a few different retakes which are all well protected and efficient, which you can practice and apply to real in-game fights. As well as that, I'll be focusing on retakes that pretty much any skill level can perform, so you should be able to take something away from it even if you're brand new to retakes. And before we hop into today's video, guys, I want to take a minute to talk about today's sponsor and a longtime sponsor of the channel, which is Buff. Buff is essentially an app that allows you to make money by playing the games you love. What Buff does is it runs in the background of your PC and gives you various challenges to complete in game. And as you complete these challenges, you're going to receive Buff points, which can be redeemed for all sorts of rewards like gift cards to companies like Amazon, Nintendo, and Steam, keys for various popular games, and even gaming equipment like mice and keyboards if you manage to save up enough points. Buff is also completely free, super easy to set up, and it's completely safe as it's authorized by Overwolf. And on top of all of that, Fortnite isn't even the only game that Buff offers. In fact, if you play a number of other games like CSGO, Rocket League, Minecraft, Valorant, and so on, you can be eligible to earn Buff points from those games as well. Overall, downloading Buff is literally free money for playing video games. So with that said, guys, if you do want to go ahead and give Buff a shot, then I'm going to put a link near the top of the description where you can sign up and start earning today. But with that said, thank you, Buff, for sponsoring today's video, and without further ado, let's get straight into our first retake. Alrighty, guys, so here we are in creative, and I'm going to go ahead and get started with the first retake. So for retake number 1, what this is going to be is basically like a little tunnel retake, and you can do it and then pretty much turn it into anything you want. So all we're going to do to start off this retake is we're going to be ramping up, preferably like a scissor ramp with one above you and one below you. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to run up to the point where there's one above you and one below you, just like this. So you don't want to have the lower one extended like that. You just want to have one above, one below. And from here, all we're doing is literally just wrapping walls around just like that on the left-hand side. You can also do it on the right and just mirror it, but I prefer it on the left. And basically, guys, from here, you can do any number of things. So you can do like kind of like a misdirection like this. I think that's pretty much the easiest thing to do. You just wrap walls around like that. Or if you are feeling a bit more fancy with it, you can also put cones up like that, and then you can jump out to the side and do any sort of retake you want from there. But ultimately, those are going to be the two primary things you're probably going to want to do coming out of this retake. So basically, you just wrap walls around yourself just like this, and you can continue either by putting cones, or you can wrap walls around, or anything you want to do from there. So I'll go ahead and show you both of those variations in full speed. So obviously, guys, you can kind of follow that up with a lot of different things, but those are the two main variations I prefer. Especially if you're more beginner, you're probably going to want to start out with the one that goes like this, where you just wrap the walls around, because it's a lot easier to kind of get all those pieces down. And obviously from there, you can just do like a 180 or 290s or whatever you want to do. And as you get a bit more advanced and consistent with it, you can do the other method that I just showed, which is basically you put the cones up here, you jump out to the side, you catch yourself like that, and you just go up from there. But with that said, guys, that's going to do it for retake number 1. So getting into retake number 2, guys, this one's kind of going to be on the border between beginner and intermediate. Like, it's not super easy to perform, but also if you do practice it for a little bit, it is going to be pretty consistent. Basically, what we're doing here is we're doing a constant side jump. So we're side jumping back and forth nonstop and covering ourselves along the way. So getting into the actual retake, you're just going to want to start off with a ramp and a cone above you, just like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to jump out to either side. You can start it either way. I prefer to the right. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to jump up and place the floor below us. And from here, guys, we're going to continue looking down, and we're going to place a ramp right on top of us, and then a ramp in front of us, just like this. And then basically we just place a cone like that, and we jump out to the side again and repeat the same process until we get bored of it. So it's literally going to look just like this. It's super simple. So what I love about this retake, guys, is that when you guys actually catch yourself on the ramp, like right there, there is like very, very little time that your opponent has to actually get a chip shot through and actually hit you. But yeah, if you're actually doing it fast enough and you're getting the ramp on top of you and in front of you, your opponent has very little time to actually get a shot off, and you do gain height pretty fast. And as you do progress, you can also go a little bit more advanced with this technique. And this is really difficult because you actually have to do a boosted side jump. So what you basically do here is you have to keep yourself really, really close to this cone, and you basically catch yourself on top of a ramp. So this is the difference between the two. Obviously, with the first one, you land on top of the floor and you go under the ramp. With the other variation, you go straight on top of the ramp. So the harder variation is going to look just like this. So yeah, guys, as you can see, that second variation gets you a lot of height really fast, but it's also really difficult to pull off. Obviously, I don't show you like the 10 times I mess it up on camera, but I actually did mess it up quite a bit. And I am a pretty advanced player, so that variation is going to be something you're going to want to do way later on down the road. But ultimately, guys, for beginners, I recommend that you give this variation a shot, the one where you catch yourself under the ramp. It's a lot easier, a lot more consistent, and the other one has like a ton of movement involved where it's super hard to get it consistently. But with that said, as you do get more advanced, that is definitely worth a shot. But with that said, guys, that's going to do it for retake number 2. So getting into retake number 3, and this one's going to be a bit simpler, but it's also going to involve side jumps. So with that said, guys, I do definitely recommend that you kind of get this motion down where you catch yourself under the ramp and then ramp out. It is a super useful variation to know, and it goes into so many different retakes you can do. You can do so many things branching out of this. So this retake is ultimately really simple. It still is going to take a bit of practice, but it should be really helpful. Basically, all we're doing here is we're ramping up, preferably a scissor ramp, obviously, because we always want to be in a scissor ramp when we're build fighting. And you're basically going to go until you have this situation right here. So you're going to cone in front of you, and you're going to have the ramps just like this. And from here, what we're going to do is we're going to side jump, but instead of going out to the side like we did last time, we're actually going to go straight forward. So basically, we just go straight like this, catch yourself under the ramp as always. And from here, it's literally super simple. You can either do a 180, 290s, or whatever you want to do to get height. Basically, the whole move is kind of through here. So personally, I prefer to just go in and do some 90s and some protected 90s if I have to, if I'm not well covered. And if you don't know what a protected 90 is that I just referred to, basically it's just this. You go ramp out like this, and basically you wrap around like that and go up instead of doing the normal thing where you kind of get exposed from behind. Hopefully that makes sense, but basically the retake ultimately comes down to just this side jump plus whatever you want to do afterwards. So with that said, guys, I am going to go ahead and demonstrate that retake, both of the 180 and then protected 90s. So that's the 180 variation. Obviously, you don't have to put the wall up in front of you. That's just what I prefer doing because I can do it pretty easily. But if you want to just do a regular 180 just like that, that's perfectly fine. And then here's the protected 90 variation. With that said, guys, that's it for retake number 3. With that said, guys, jumping into retake number 4, and I believe that I actually have shown this one on the channel before. I think it was like probably around a year ago in another one of my retake videos. I went ahead and showed this retake, but it is still super useful and I don't see enough people using it. So the first thing you're going to need to know for this retake is the Twifo cone. If you don't know what the Twifo cone is, basically it just involves wrapping walls around you behind you like that, and then you just place the cone up top. So what I recommend you guys do is go to the right hand side and basically just practice doing these over and over again. They're super useful to know in general for build fights, and they're super useful for this retake. Like literally, guys, if you're doing a build fight in creative or something like that and you just spam these forever and you do them with good timing and everything, you're pretty much impossible to hit realistically, and it's super easy to just literally turn around and get height. With that said, I guess that's kind of like retake 3.5 because that's not the actual retake, but there's another little tip for you guys. But with that said, getting into the actual retake here, basically we're going to start off with a Twifo cone as I just said, so we go around back like that, and then all you're going to do from here is you're going to catch yourself on a ramp, and you're going to either edit 1 tile or 2 tiles on the left hand side, whichever you prefer. And from here, you're basically just going to go out to the left, catch yourself on a floor, and do whatever you want to do to get height. So ultimately, guys, this is a really nice retake where you can kind of like switch up your direction, and it's super simple but super effective. So with that said, guys, I am going to go ahead and show this in full speed. And as you can obviously tell, that was a 180 variation with a wall up front, so you don't have to do it exactly that way. You can pretty much do anything you want once you get off to this point, but I do prefer to typically do just a regular 180 with a wall in front of me. That's pretty much my go-to move whenever I do any sort of retake, but as you probably know, you can feel free to mix it up. But with that said, guys, that is going to do it for retake number 4. But with all that said, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video on the best beginner high ground retakes to learn. If you can take a few of these retakes and practice them consistently, you should see some big improvements in not only your overall mechanical skill and movement, but you also should be able to apply them to get an advantage against real players as well. If this video helped you out, then be sure to drop a like on it and consider subscribing as well if you want to see more content just like this in the future. And if you want to make sure that you don't miss out on future videos, then feel free to tap the notification bell. That way you know whenever I post a new tips and tricks video. And lastly, guys, if you're looking to earn rewards for playing the games you love, then be sure to check out Buff, which is going to be linked near the top of the description. With that said, though, thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.